Chapter 1062. Xiangyi was speechless as she watched her uncle push the wheelchair over. She was pregnant, not a fracture. Why did she have to sit in a wheelchair? Xiangwan said fiercely, "Get over here. Aren't you ashamed of being a grown-up? You want to sit in a wheelchair? Come, I'll satisfy you. I'll break your legs." Xiang Feng said weakly, Don't think I'm afraid of you. It's the old man who taught me to follow my heart. Forget about it." After Xiangwan finished complaining, she looked at Xiangyi and said softly, "Grandpa and Grandma will be here soon. They went to bed early last night and only found out this morning." Xiangyi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's just a pregnancy. There's no need to make such a big fuss. No. Pregnancy is a big deal. She was right. The Xiang family was very protective of each other and had a deep relationship. Everyone was happy to have a new member. Just then the kitchen door was pulled open and the aroma of rice filled the air. Shi Sui was wearing an apron and looked like a good husband and father. He said gently, "Tutu is awake? Wash your hands and get ready to eat." Everyone took their seats. Xiang Qi said warily, "You're not acting for us, are you? Do you usually order Tutu to cook for you?" Shi Sui smiled and didn't explain. He served porridge to everyone. Xiangyi quickly said, "Ever since we got together, he's always been the one cooking. I'm just an assistant at most." That's more like it. It was rare that Xiang Qi didn't bring a bowl this time. Everyone looked at him awkwardly with a small bowl. "By the way, I made a lot of little clothes for my little niece overnight. I'll make little shoes for her later." Xiangyi said helplessly, "It might not be a girl. It must be. I have a feeling." Xiang Qi was very confident. Xiang Feng also laughed heartily. "Hey, imagine soon there will be a white and soft little boy calling me uncle and master." Xiang Yu also looked forward to it. Xiang Li and Sangshan did not show it, but they could not help but imagine it. Little Munchkin, who had 2 buns tied up in a pretty little dress, ran over and opened his chubby arms. He called out in a soft and sweet voice, "Little Munchkin, I'm so happy that I'm happy. Uncle, carry me." Just thinking about it made him feel good. Before long, Xiang Yin and Madame Xiang were there too. The 2 elders didn't even have time to eat breakfast. One took Xiangyi's pulse first, and the other took Xiangyi back to the room to talk. Xiang Feng asked expectantly, "Old man, a boy or a girl?" Xiang Yin rolled his eyes and asked, "What did you call me?" Xiang Feng reacted with a shudder and hurriedly slid to his knees. "Father." If it were any other time, Xiang Yin would definitely chase after him and beat him up. However, he was in a good mood today and couldn't be bothered to hold it against him. It's still too early to tell. Moreover, it was not accurate to just rely on the pulse. But a bunch of people looked at Xiang Yin with glistening eyes. Xiang Yin said firmly, "I've already asked an old friend to read his fortune. Must be a girl. She's as adorable as Tutu when she was a child." Xiang Feng said, "Dad, this is just superstition. Little rascal, come here." The living room was bustling with activity. Shi Sui stood at the side with a smile on his thin lips. Daughter is great. He didn't even think about having a son. In midair, the little white tiger was trembling with fear. Oh no, I feel like I'm going to screw up. I've reincarnated the fat cat into a boy. Forget it, I'd better run for my life. Otherwise, Shi Sui will definitely want to eat tiger meat hot pot. I haven't realized that little Shiji has also been reincarnated successfully. Chapter 1063. The little white tiger scurried away immediately. There seemed to be a fluctuation in the air, but apart from Shi Sui, no one noticed anything unusual. Shi Sui squinted with a trace of danger in her eyes. That little white tiger better not stir up any trouble. Huh? He is pregnant too. After Jiang Jojo heard the news, she was overjoyed. Hubby, if Yi's baby is a girl and ours is a boy, we'll arrange a betrothal. If both of them are girls, we'll be best friends from a young age. Fu Jian asked, "What if it's 2 boys?" There was silence. A few seconds later, Jiang Jojo said with a sullen face, "Fu Jian, do you want to die?" Soon their family and friends all found out about Xiangyi's pregnancy. However, it hadn't been made public on the internet yet. Since Shi Sui and Xiangyi didn't lack popularity, there was no need for them to hype things up. A few days later, Shi Sui made a cameo appearance in the last drama and stopped all her work. She then rushed home to take care of Xiangyi. Apart from occasionally posting about her daily life, Xiangyi didn't go on Weibo much. Both of them went into hibernation mode, which made their fans anxious. Their career fans cried and begged them to work every day. Which rising artist would stay at home and slack off? The fans of the couple started by begging for a live stream, then asked for a group photo, and in the end they begged for them to post something on Weibo. The fans were in high spirits and secretly created posts such as, "She's a once-in-a-lifetime beauty." Even Xiangyi has to step aside, "Shi Sui is the second most promising actor in the country," and so on. All of a sudden those people got a lot of resources and hence became even more arrogant. They even had the audacity to criticize Shi Sui and Xiangyi. They said that they were has-been, useless, and didn't care about their fans. The Shi Sui sisters were infuriated to see that those people were getting all the benefits and even criticizing them. On the other hand, the Spicy Tutu fans were very Buddhist and said, "Only by not forgetting your original intentions can you achieve success." The passers-by began to mock them again. However, the Shi Sui sisters immediately understood. "I almost forgot about Sister Yi's 100% face-slapping aura. Our Shi Sui now has Sister Yi's protection. Don't panic." As expected. A few days later, all the major movies announced their release dates one after another in an attempt to seize the Spring Festival slot. Among the dozens of officially announced movies, the most eye-catching ones were director Mu Si's Martial Arts and director Yen Genoa's Dark Knight is Coming. This one was a standard commercial film with a Hollywood script and big-name actors. Everyone in the industry felt that this film would be able to successfully snipe the Spring Festival slot with an estimated box office of $5 billion. The other movie was more of a mystery, plot, and literary element, which was relatively niche. Of course, with Shi Sui leading the box office, people in the industry felt that the movie would not be bad. The box office was estimated to be relatively conservative, at only $1 billion. However, Shi Sui and Xiangyi both starred in the two movies. Now Shi Sui's sister and Spicy Tutu could hold their heads high. "There's no choice. Our artists only have so many works," the opposing fans said sourly. "The box office is still uncertain. Maybe there will be another dark horse." Shi Sui's sister X Spicy Tutu: "Oh, is that so? Does your artist have any works? Can it be released during the Spring Festival slot?" The opposing fans. This group of people turned off their microphones dejectedly, but they thought to themselves, maybe these two movies will flop. The weather was getting colder and colder. In the blink of an eye, it snowed twice in Nanjing. As the Spring Festival was approaching, all the major production teams began to prepare for the release of their films. In addition to the regular release of movie trailers, movie premieres and media viewing events, this time, many movies tried to do live broadcast promotions. Chapter 1064. Martial Arts and Dark Knight is Coming were no exception. Moreover, the directors of both movies had chosen Little Rabbit Manor as the location for the livestream. The two directors even quarreled secretly. Director Yen: "Smart. Director Mu, you're the smart one." Director Yen said righteously, "I'm trying to use the scenery to express sadness and light to contrast the darkness. I'm using the brightness and warmth of Little Rabbit Farm to set off the gloominess of our movie," Director Mu retorted. "I'm also trying to promote Chinese culture and let the audience both at home and abroad understand Chinese flower arrangement, tea ceremony, martial arts, swordsmanship." Director Yen: "Bullsh**. T. You're doing this just to eat." Director Mu: "You have the cheek to say that to me?" Director Yen: "If outsiders knew about their quarrel, they would probably die of laughter." These two famous directors who had accumulated billions of box office earnings were actually quarreling over a mouthful of food. It was unimaginable. Relying on his relationship with Shi Sui and being thick-skinned, honest, Director Yen led the crew of Dark Knight is Coming to Little Rabbit Manor. While the staff was adjusting the equipment, Director Yen put his hands behind his back and looked around like an old man taking a stroll in the park. A gratified smile appeared on his face. "Not bad, Xiaohei has gained weight. These ducks look good. They seem to have internal injuries. And these chickens, they seem to have suffered heat stroke." The staff was speechless. Internal injuries? How could you tell? And heat stroke? Heat stroke in the middle of winter. Director Yen have some shame. As for the others, they were like fish in the pond and pigs in the granary. Xiangyi had already prepared all kinds of desserts, snacks, and drinks when she heard that they were coming. Everyone's stomachs were already full before the live stream started. The staff cleared his throat and said, the equipment is ready. We can start now. Everyone will temporarily set the live stream to 1 hour, but there will be a Q&A session, so it might take a little longer. All the actors: it's okay. The goose will taste better if it's stewed a little longer. Sister E even marinated the meat. It'll taste better if it's roasted longer. Hey, Sister E said that she's cooking bone broth now. It'll taste great when it's served in hot pot. The staff looked hopeless. Are you here to promote the movie or to eat? I seriously suspect the latter. Okay, let's begin. Millions of viewers flooded in as soon as the live stream started. Compared to Wuxia, director Yen actually had more influence in the country and had more loyal fans. In the first half of the hour they were still talking about the movie seriously, but in the second half of the hour, everyone's style started to deviate. It's really too tough for us to make this movie? A veteran actor started the conversation, but the audience didn't think much of it. They thought that it was another cliché about the harsh environment. Unexpectedly, the veteran actor said with a pained heart, "You're too young. Do you know Sister Yi's cooking is too delicious? But we have to maintain our weight when acting. We can't be thin in the beginning and become fat in the end. Therefore at most he could only taste it. This is too torturous." The netizens were stunned for a moment before they started laughing. Do you know who is the happiest person in the crew? It was director Yen. He's not acting so he doesn't need to maintain his weight. After filming this movie, director Yen gained 20 pounds. Yen Zhenhua chuckled and rubbed his stomach. No, it's only 19 pounds. The netizens? Was 19 pounds a little? It was quite a lot. Chapter 1065. The other actors didn't dare to tease director Yen and could only tease each other. Old Zhang, who was the one who said that he wanted to sever ties with me over a mouthful of braised prawns? Jesuke, you still have the cheek to say that. Didn't you also say that you can't be brothers over a pineapple bun? And that rascal Rong Hui, he snatches Yen Nai's food every day. Haha, Yen Nai has probably never suffered such grievances in his life. Rong Hui and Yen Nai, who had been cued, looked at each other in disdain. Rong Hui humphed openly, looking like a haughty school bully. Yen Nai only dared to criticize in his heart and silently drew circles on the sofa. I curse you. I can't eat your sister's cooking. His fans started cheering. I'm a cult couple? Yen Nai is so cute when he draws circles and curses. What kind of cute little puppy is he? Rong Hui is very arrogant. Has he forgotten that he complained to Xiangyi about being wronged previously? Sure, Sui and Xiangyi didn't talk much, but they had always been the focus of everyone's attention. The two of them talked about their understanding of the script and the characters, which also allowed the netizens to have a deeper understanding of the drama. Sure, Sui said, in a sense, this drama doesn't conform to the mainstream setting of the characters. Instead, almost all of them are villains. Every flower of evil that grows in the midst of sin has a strong sense of tragedy. Xiangyi said, compared to the most family-friendly movies that are screened during the Spring Festival, the tone of Night is Coming is heavier. Every character is actually a small figure. The pain, sins, and struggles of the small figures. It has its own unique charm. As the live stream went on, the pre-sales box office also rose steadily. In the past, everyone was used to going to the cinema to buy tickets. Later on, they gradually got used to buying tickets online. Now that it was more convenient, they could buy pre-sales movie tickets a week or even half a month in advance. After more than 50 minutes of the live stream, the pre-sales box office had already exceeded 200 million yuan. This figure had far exceeded director Yan's budget. He was already prepared for this movie to flop. It would be good enough if it could earn more than 100 million yuan. He didn't expect the pre-sales box office to exceed 200 million yuan. The actors were also very happy. The veteran actor from earlier said, haha, when the live broadcast ends, I'm going to eat 2 more bowls of rice to celebrate. A large number of netizens' eyes lit up when they heard this, and they started to refresh the screen. Let's talk while we eat. That's right. We don't mind watching another mukbang. Director Yen, I bet that if you continue to stream, the box office sales will continue to rise. Yen Zhenhua happened to see these comments during the interactive segment. He thought for a moment, got everyone's approval and said with a smile, all right then, let's continue with the live broadcast. However, he didn't have much hope in his heart. At most, the box office would increase by a few tens of millions. 30 million was already too much. He was worried that Sure Sui and Xiangyi's popularity would be depleted, so he add another half an hour. The netizens were a little disappointed, but half an hour was better than nothing. Xiangyi had prepared half-finished products, and she directly brought the marinated meat over. Everyone took out the roasting tray and began to roast it. The marinated pork belly was cooked in just a few moments, and the oil was constantly secreted, exuding a tempting fragrance. There was no need to sprinkle chili powder or barbecue sauce on it at all. It was extremely delicious. The netizens were shocked. Countless people began to share the link to the live stream to their friends or social media platforms. The pre-sales box office sales also quietly began to rise. Chapter 1066. Come, freshly roasted pork belly. It's marinated with starch, oyster sauce, star anise, eggs, salt, chili and other condiments. It's fragrant but not greasy. It's soft and tender. One bite. Iske, this taste is amazing. The veteran actor was the first to comment. Everyone praised. The netizens were also salivating. Of course, while watching the live stream they did not forget to talk about the plot. They even started a competition to guess who the biggest villain was. The netizens' enthusiasm for participating in the live stream increased. Next, the bullfrog fish head hot pot, stewed goose, braised prawns, chicken, and other dishes were served one after another. Most of the dishes were prepared by Shui, and Xiangyi was only in charge of seasoning. Even so, the taste was already delicious. Director Yen initially wanted to check the box office, but he ended up getting carried away as soon as he started eating. He was the one who ate the fastest. Rong Hui was even more ruthless. He snatched Yen Nai's portion of barbecued meat and stacked it on top of each other before eating it in one bite. Yen Nai was so angry that he wanted to hit him with a pair of tongs. Xiangyi did not touch the greasy dishes on the table and obediently ate the bland dishes. Little did they know that the popularity of the live stream increased from more than 10 million fans to 20 million, then 30 million. The pre-sales box office also increased from 200 million to 300 million, then to 400 million. The industry's jaws almost dropped. What kind of new publicity method is this? Is a live stream publicity so impressive? Compared to conventional Weibo, forums, Tieba and video publicity, it's so weak. Many friends in the industry called Director Yen and asked him to check the box office. However, Director Yen had placed his phone aside and turned it on silent mode, so they did not notice. The staff reminded them that half an hour had passed. Director Yen then said, "Today's live stream will end here. I hope that the audience can support our movie. Night is coming. It's the first day of the Lunar New Year and I'll give you a surprise." The staff hesitated and said, "Director Yen, the audience is very vocal. Why don't we eat, chat for a while more? If we continue chatting there will be spoilers." Director Yen wiped his oily mouth and continued, "Let's stop here. If you're interested in our movie, remember to go to the cinema and support us." Shui, Xiangyi, and the rest also greeted the audience briefly, and everyone continued eating. The staff was speechless. Fine, Director Yen is still the best. As expected of a famous director. He had strength. How courageous. He cut off the live broadcast. At this moment, Director Yen also got his phone and muttered, "Why are there so many people calling me? Did something happen?" After holding it in for a long time, the staff finally said, "Director Yen, it's exploding." "What's the big deal? It's just pre-sales? 200 million is nothing. I have a movie with a box office of 2 billion. Director Yen drank some wine and couldn't help but boast. "Wait for my next movie. I'll make a movie that's worth 5 billion or 10 billion yuan in minutes." The staff member said, "Alright, you should take a look at the advanced ticket sales." Director Yen picked up his phone and thought that there should be 220 million now. Or 230 million. When he saw the numbers on the screen, Director Yen shuddered. Director Yen sprang to his feet. "How's the box office?" Xiangyi asked curiously. "I wonder how the live broadcast is," Director Yen muttered. We're rich. He turned the phone screen around so that everyone could see the number on it. Arrival of the night advance ticket sales. 890 million. Chapter 1067. Everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. More than 800 million? How is that possible? However, someone secretly used his cell phone to check, only to find that it had increased by another 10 million yuan in just a few minutes. 900 million yuan. In the Chinese film industry, there were many movies that had exceeded 900 million yuan. There were at least 100 of them, but those that had exceeded 900 million yuan in advance sales, there really weren't any. We've broken the record. The veteran actor clenched his fists in excitement. He had never thought that he would be able to act in a movie with such a high box office in his lifetime. The ticketing software also instantly refreshed the box office forecast. Dark Knight is coming. 3 billion yuan. The breaking of the box office record made it to the hot search on Weibo. At first, the netizens thought that it was just a publicity stunt. Who are you kidding? 900 million yuan in advance sales? Are there that many fools and rich viewers? However, some of the netizens who had watched the live stream and bought tickets stepped forward. What's the big deal? The quality of Director Yan's movies is guaranteed to begin with. Isn't it normal to support the live stream? If you don't understand, just ask. The ticket price is 30 yuan per ticket. There are tens of millions of viewers in the live stream. You can easily buy tickets for 900 million yuan, alright? Yeah, the quality of this movie is amazing just by looking at the trailer. Besides, the actors and actresses seem to be enjoying the live stream so much. I'm curious as to why they're all villains in the movie. Some professionals in the industry stepped forward and lamented. Old Wu watches a movie v. To be honest, it's no longer the era where good wine is not afraid of the dark alleys. Instead, even good wine is afraid of the dark alleys. I think the live stream publicity this time is worth learning from my peers in the industry. In the past, what's the traditional way of publicity for movies? How many replies can a post get? How many views can a trailer get? As for celebrities going offline for publicity, how many people can sit in a movie theater in a city? Do you understand what I mean? In the past, publicity was also effective, but the coverage was limited. However, the livestream publicity has narrowed the gap between the movie and the audience for the first time. The director and lead actors will interact with you on the spot and talk about the heavy plot before showing you a live stream. The audience will casually buy tickets to support the movie. What a brilliant publicity technique. Yen Zhenhua was definitely the most intelligent director in the country. A friend took a screenshot of Old Wu's Weibo and Yen Zhenhua was stunned. Since when was I smart? I was just thinking that it was time to eat so that everyone could have a meal together. No. Old Wu's right. This is the crystallization of my wisdom. Yen Zhenhua shamelessly finished reading Old Wu's comments on him and pretended to be humble. I'm not familiar with this Mr. Wu. I didn't expect him to give me such a high evaluation. It's so embarrassing. Too much. Ah. Everyone, that? I don't think you're embarrassed. You're smiling so much that flowers are about to bloom on your face. Xiangyi smiled as she listened to director Yen brag. Before long she received a video call from director Mu Si. She pressed the answer button. Mu Si couldn't wait any longer. Sister E, can we add a foodie stream to our martial arts live stream? No, we might as well eat the whole time. Yen Zhenhua was close, he heard everything clearly. He laughed and scolded, "You're smart." Mu Si replied in her not-so-fluent Chinese. No, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. It's because of Director Yan's wisdom and Sister E and Sher Sui's delicious food that I'm inspired. Yen Zhenhua was elated to hear her flattery. Hey little brother, you're treating me like an outsider. Chapter 1068. Mu Si had mastered the art of bootlicking and chatted happily with Yen Zhenhua. The two of them even agreed to promote each other's movie. Everyone was speechless. Don't hit those who bootlicked. I've learned it. 2 days later. The live stream promotion for martial arts began. The first thing the audience saw when they clicked on the live stream was a huge hot pot. Mu Si smiled and said, "Everyone, let's chat while eating. Friends in front of the screen, let's enjoy the food together." The audience was speechless. Enjoy my foot. We thought you and Director Yen would do the same thing, chat before eating. I didn't expect you to be even more ruthless, chatting while eating. The takeout we ordered hasn't arrived yet. Mu Si boiled a few thin slices of mutton rolls. After scalding them for a while, he scooped them up and rolled them in the dipping sauce before stuffing them into his mouth. He squinted his eyes in enjoyment. After chewing the food, he said seriously, "I like Chinese food very much, so this time we've added a lot of food elements into our movie." The audience was salivating. Cough, tears were flowing out of their eyes as they slammed the table in anger. You're just going to force it? This is too much. On the internet, whether it was the netizens or industry professionals, everyone was paying attention to the live stream promotion of martial arts. Luck might have played a role in the success of Night is Coming. After all, they were the first ones to try it. However, reality proved that the promotion of the live stream was really effective. The number of viewers in the live stream soon exceeded the peak of Night is Coming, and the pre-sales box office also kept breaking through 200 million yuan, 300 million yuan, 500 million yuan. After an hour of live stream, the hot pot was not finished and the plot was only the beginning. Just as everyone's appetite and curiosity were piqued, the live stream ended. The audience vomited blood in unison. You should have continued. This kind of feeling was akin to running into an unscrupulous author when he was reading a web novel serial. That feeling of being stuck between a rock and a hard place was too torturous. Everyone was looking forward to martial arts, so they bought tickets and planned to go to the cinema to check it out. After the live stream ended, the pre-sales box office stabilized at 1.3 billion yuan. That's right. It was even higher than Director Yan's movie. Of course this 1.3 billion yuan included the pre-sales data from overseas. All of a sudden, the live stream promotion method was favored by the film festival. All the major movies followed suit. Their advance ticket sales were not bad, but they were far from Night is Coming and martial arts. The first reason was the audience's trust in the director and the quality of the film. The second reason was, the netizens all had their own opinions. Those who are dissatisfied wake up. Are you as popular as Shui and Xiangyi? Yeah, who would watch the live stream without Shengdi and Sister E? Other people's food doesn't taste as good as Sister Yi's. Having Sister E at home is like having a treasure. Having Shui at home is like having a dog's head. Are you trying to kill me with laughter? Ha! The other movies scheduled for the Spring Festival were afraid that these two movies would take up too many slots, so they could only quietly build momentum through public opinion. For example, pre-sales were only pre-sales, and quality was the most important thing. Another example was that the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. There was bound to be a dark horse in the Spring Festival slot. On New Year's Eve, the Xiang family didn't have a rule that prohibited their daughters and granddaughters from staying at home during the Spring Festival. Shui didn't think that his son-in-law couldn't spend the Spring Festival at his daughter-in-law's house. At this moment, the entire family was reunited at the Xiang family's old residence. Xiangyi turned on her cell phone and prepared to book the movie for tomorrow. Chapter 1069. To their surprise, all the cinemas were full. They went to several different cinemas, but there were no exceptions. Xiangyi, who initially wanted to experience the fun with her family, had no choice but to book a VIP hall that was reserved for the entire family at a certain cinema owned by the Xiang family. That scene was repeated in many other places. Netizens were complaining on social media that they couldn't even buy movie tickets. In other words, only the movie tickets for Night is Coming and martial arts could not be bought. The ticket price for the two movies was about 30 yuan, while martial arts was about 50 yuan because it was a 3D film. Hence, the pricing was considered reasonable. However, the prices of the other movies had secretly increased. The netizens immediately began to complain in dissatisfaction. However, since it was the first day of the Lunar New Year, everyone wanted to watch a movie with their family. So be it if it was more expensive, at least they could watch it. The next day, on the first day of the Lunar New Year, the epidemic in Xi continent had long been resolved and the streets were full of joy. There were lanterns and streamers everywhere, and there were crowds in the shopping malls and supermarkets. The cinemas were also full of people. As the first batch of audience members entered the cinema to check their tickets, there were also comments about the major movies on the internet. The comments basically showed the reputation of the major movies. Wuxia's martial arts incorporated a variety of elements from commercial films, such as action, suspense, racing, and food. The pace was fast and there were plenty of laughs. There were no obvious flaws in the plot, and several details were handled very artistically. It could be considered a standard commercial film with a strong personal style. It had a good box office and a good reputation. The quality of Yan Genoa's Night is Coming had always been guaranteed, and this one was even more exciting. Although it was a bit of a cultural film, the director had a strong foundation and the film was not incomprehensible. Instead, it looked more realistic than a commercial film. The box office sales gradually increased and the film's reputation exploded. On the other hand, the other movies were criticized in terms of quality and acting skills. Apart from that, everyone was also paying attention to a piece of gossip. Xiangyi's family was watching a movie. Although it was a VIP cinema, there was still a distance from the shopping mall to the cinema. Many passers-by took photos. The whole family was extremely good-looking and close to each other. Hence, it instantly attracted countless comments from netizens. Xiang Yi and Madame Xiang are wearing matching outfits. How trendy. After Sister E finished her milk tea, she went to drink Shui's fruit tea. It's too sweet. Are you the idols of a boy band? Their legs are too long, woo. I've already seen little aunt hitting little uncle in the photos of different passers-by. Feng Feng is really pitiful in the theater. When Xiang Yi saw her face appear on the screen, she was still a little unaccustomed. Especially when it came to the scene of her and Shui kissing, Xiang Yi felt as if she was sitting on pins and needles. She wished she could dig a hole and bury herself in it. Shui, on the other hand, was much calmer. She even rubbed the rabbit's earlobe and said in a low voice, "Tutu, your ears are so red." She didn't know if he was talking about the movie or reality. Xiangyi? She stared at the screen and sighed. You look so calm. You didn't even react to the kissing scene, Shui sneered silently. How could there be no reaction, silly rabbit? The movie ended. Xiangyi was particularly embarrassed and didn't know how to face her family. Will I be reprimanded by Grandpa and Xiangyi? She was most afraid of those two people. The others were fine. As for Xiang Yi, there was nothing to be afraid of. Chapter 1070. To her surprise, the first thing Xiang Yin said was, "The movie was well filmed. The swordsmanship duel with Shu really felt like a martial arts film." Xiang Yi's eyes lit up. "Wow, I got praised." Seeing the look of anticipation in her eyes, Sangchen originally wanted to say something about the kissing scene, but he swallowed his words and said, "Not bad." Xiang Yi was overjoyed. "I got praised again. Big brother is the most picky and strict." The corners of Xiang Chen's mouth curled up when he saw her beaming with joy. However, he soon regained his composure. The family ate some snacks and Madame Xiang even tried the milk tea. After drinking it, she immediately gave it a thumbs up. "It's delicious. Tutu, I want to drink from this shop again next time." Xiang Yin complained, "This is all junk food. It's high in calories and sugar." In the words of traditional Chinese medicine, the stomach is the sea of food and the food goes to the stomach first. If you eat too much junk food, your stomach will be damaged first and your spleen will be damaged. Madame Xiang stuffed a cup of milk tea into his mouth. Xiang Yin instinctively slurped it. Then he stopped talking. He held it and drank it silently. "It's quite delicious. Forget it, forget it. Even if I get sick from drinking too much, I'm a master of traditional Chinese medicine. Can't I treat such a minor illness?" As for Xiang Feng, he was ordered around by Xiang Wan. He served her tea, massaged her shoulders, and even ordered her to eat the snacks on the first floor, the pizza on the 7th floor, and the crispy meat on the 8th floor. Xiang Feng ran errands for her and even got beaten up when he came back. Xiang Feng was upset and aggrieved. "Sis, you're going to be single for the rest of your life." Whoosh, he glared daggers at him. Xiang Yin humphed coldly. "What nonsense are you spouting? Believe it or not, I'll smack your buttocks." Xiang Feng was speechless. "Daddy, there are so many people here. Give me some face." Shi Sui, who was at the side, burst into laughter. "There's always a reason for everyone to bully me." After a short break, the family watched Night is Coming again. This time they didn't touch the snacks and drinks from the beginning to the end. When the lights came on, no one even spoke. The tone of the movie was dark and gloomy. It gave people a feeling of depression and heaviness, but they were also worried about the characters in the movie. Director Yan's filming was too sympathetic. He knew that the bad guy was bad, but he also hoped that the bad guy would be punished. But he just felt sad. After a long while, the old man sighed. "It's a good movie." Madame Xiang also praised, "Little Yan is very creative. She hasn't forgotten her original intentions after all these years." "That's good." When it was Yan Genoa's debut novel, Madame Xiang saw his talent and invested a sum of money in it. The two of them could be considered old acquaintances. Today, Madame Xiang was probably the only one who dared to call him Xiao Yan. The older brothers of the Xiang family also gave good reviews. Xiang Qi was very sensitive when it came to art. He said with certainty, "Even if the box office of this movie is not as high as martial arts, it will still win all kinds of awards." It was about noon. The box office data for half a day had already been tabulated. Martial arts, and The Night is Coming, took more than 80% of the box office. At present, martial arts had grossed 1.6 billion yuan while Night is Coming had grossed 1.3 billion yuan. The gap was gradually narrowing. The other few movies didn't have a good reputation. Word of mouth would affect the number of screenings in the cinemas. Since they couldn't beat the other movies in terms of quality, two of them began to think of ways to earn as much money as they could. By charging the so-called service fee, they secretly increased the ticket prices. Although it was only about 5 or 10 yuan, it caused a huge uproar on the internet. Simply put, they had failed. Chapter 1071. The netizens who had watched the movie began to criticize. "What kind of movie is this? What a waste of my ticket money. Ticket prices are already expensive to begin with. How can they have the cheek to raise the price? Are they using their brains to make more money? Can anyone become a director these days? A lousy movie is a lousy movie even if they hire famous actors. The laughs aren't funny, the tears aren't coming, and the orgasms aren't coming. What kind of family movie is this? My parents and uncles slept with each other from the beginning to the end." The public opinion affected the audience who had yet to watch the movie. Subconsciously, everyone had chosen to watch martial arts, and Night is Coming. As of 12 p.m., martial arts had grossed 2 billion yuan on its first day. Night is Coming had grossed 1.8 billion yuan on its first day. However, the box office of martial arts also included a few hundred million yuan overseas. If only the domestic box office was taken into account, Night is Coming had overtaken martial arts. It was a huge reversal. No one expected that Night is Coming would become the biggest dark horse. Countless cinema chains urgently changed the showtimes and gave the best time slots in theaters to Night is Coming. Director Yin was indeed a veteran and famous director. His marketing immediately followed suit. That's 7 days later. Martial arts broke 3.5 billion yuan at the box office. Meanwhile, Night is Coming had broken 4 billion yuan at the box office. Many netizens' hobby every day was to refresh the box office of the next two movies. The battle between the two movies was in full swing. Some people were slow to realize the lead actor of both movies was Shi Sui. Shirindi was the strongest. At the same time, a topic was trending on Weibo. Hashtag Shi Sui's cumulative box office earnings of 20 billion. Hashtag that's right. He had become the first actor in the history of domestic movies to have a cumulative box office earnings of more than 20 billion yuan. He was also the youngest actor to do so. Xiang Yi had only starred in these two movies, but everyone estimated that the final box office earnings of these two movies combined would probably exceed 10 billion yuan. Many movie queens, big flowers and super A-list actresses couldn't achieve this result, but Xiang Yi actually achieved it after acting in two movies. Some people said that she had good resources. Others said that she had good luck. However, most people acknowledged Xiang Yi's acting skills. Whether it was the valiant and beautiful Miss Zhang or the gentle female doctor, Xiang Yi's acting was impeccable. Nature, spirituality, empathy, whether it was talent or strength, she had it all. In the end, martial arts had a cumulative box office of 4.1 billion. Night is Coming had a cumulative box office of 6.12 billion. Many records were broken. It set a new record for the highest box office sales in the history of Chinese films. On this day, Shi Sui and Xiang Yi both announced their temporary retirement. Shi Sui, see you in the future. Xiang Yi V, see you another day. Tomato Entertainment also posted a long Weibo post. The general idea was that the two of them were about to stop all work and focus on their family and each other. In the future, they hope to bring good works to everyone. The moment this Weibo post was posted, the entire internet went into an uproar. Weibo collapsed at any moment, and the programmers worked overtime with tears in their eyes. The fans did not believe it at first, but they soon calmed down and chose to give their blessings. Looking forward to returning soon. Husband, wife, enjoy life. Hee, I bet it's going to be Xiao Sui or Xiao Yi. On this day, Li Jinyu's Weibo was flooded with mentions, and everyone was asking him when Bringing Kids would be released. Several months later, Li Jinyu finally replied on Weibo. Li Jinyu V, we can arrange the baby-bearing episode now. Doghead everyone, oh? On the same day, Xiang Yi posted on Weibo. Xiang Yi V, thank you for coming to my world. Chapter 1072. Side story, Cutie Bao. Xiang Yi, thank you for coming to my world. The text was very simple, but the accompanying picture was of Shi Sui and Xiang Yi's hands. This Weibo post made the programmers of Weibo experience the despair of working overtime again. The entire internet was in an uproar. Shi Sui and Sister Yi are having a baby? All of a sudden, there were people everywhere who came to acknowledge their relationship. Baby, I'm your half-sister. Aya, our eldest nephew must be handsome. His hands are so beautiful. My grandmother is Sister Yi's milk powder. She asked me to ask if she gave birth to a granddaughter or a grandson. In contrast, Shi Sui's response seemed a little perfunctory. He reposted Xiang Yi's Weibo post and only sent a heart-shaped emoji. There were all sorts of speculations. They said that Shi Sui regretted marrying Xiang Yi, that Xiang Yi got married because of a shotgun marriage, and that Shi Sui still had a lover. However, the Shi Sui sisters who knew Shi Sui the best had the same thoughts. Maybe it's a baby boy? It turned out that the Shi Sui sisters were right. Rewind time to a few hours ago. Xiang Yi had already moved into the delivery room while old Mr. Xiang, old Mr. Fang, old Mr. Yun, and old Mr. Jing stayed next door. When they had nothing to do, they would come to take Xiang Yi's pulse. The doctors in the obstetrics and gynecology department were on tenterhooks every day. They had many years of experience, but in front of these big shots, they were as nervous as interns. Xiang Yi, on the other hand, was the calmest. It was past 3 in the morning. Xiang Yi felt something and took her own pulse to feel the fetal position. Yes, I should be going into labor soon. Almost as soon as she moved, Shi Sui woke up. Xiang Yi said, if nothing goes wrong, you'll be able to see the baby soon. In the next second, Shi Sui grabbed her hand tightly. His palms were sweating. Xiang Yi said softly, don't worry, the baby and I are very healthy. With Xiang Yin and the others around, Xiang Yi's body was nourished well, and she had been paying attention to her diet and exercising appropriately. Although the labor process was more painful than expected, Xiangyi was quite calm from beginning to end. He even comforted the doctors and nurses. Outside the delivery room there was chaos and chaos. The Xiang brothers were all wearing pajamas, not as handsome as they usually were. Xiang Li even forgot to wear his glasses. He had to squint when he looked at people. Everyone was so nervous that they broke out in cold sweat. Madame Xiang began chanting Buddhist scriptures. Xiang Yin usually didn't believe in Buddhist scriptures, but at this moment he prayed to all the gods and Buddhas in the heavens. Fortunately, everyone soon heard the child's cries. Xiang Feng was the first to stand up, giggling, "Our little kitty is crying too loudly." Xiang Qi was holding a large bag of clothes, blankets, and diapers that he had prepared beforehand. He stammered, "Is my little niece cold? Do you want to put on some clothes first?" Xiang Feng was also very agitated. "Will she be hungry? Why don't I make her some milk powder first?" Xiang Li and Sangchen seemed calm, but in fact, flowers were blooming in their hearts. Whoosh, the door of the delivery room was opened, and the nurse came out with the baby in her arms. Shi Sui didn't even look at the baby and strode towards Xiangyi's bedside. Xiangyi's face was a little pale, but she was in a good state of mind. Shi Sui's Adam's apple bobbed, and the words that he wanted to say got stuck in his throat. In the end, his voice became hoarse and trembling. "Tutu." Xiangyi was slightly stunned. "Shi Sui is crying?" Chapter 1073. Outside the delivery room. Xiang Feng broke through the crowd and snatched the precious opportunity to see little Meow Meow for the first time. "Wow, our Meow Meow is too." Seeing the child in the nurse's arms, Xiang Feng felt like he had lost his ability to speak. After a long while, he finally managed to say, "Isn't she too ugly?" Xiang Yu said angrily, "Uncle, how can you say that?" Xiang Qi retorted, "Uncle, keep your voice down. She'll hear you." Xiang Li and Sangchen also shot daggers at him. Xiang Feng felt wronged. "She's really ugly. I think you're the ugliest in the whole family." Xiang Wan slapped him on the arm and looked at little Meow Meow in shock. "Is this Tutu's biological child?" The nurse said in a timely manner, "Children are all like this when they're born. They'll be fine in 2 days. By the way, congratulations, it's a little boy. Good, a little girl is good." Xiang Feng had just finished his sentence when he suddenly realized that something was wrong and turned to look at little Meow Meow. Everyone else also looked over and then, they were petrified. Little Meow Meow whimpered. For more than 10 seconds no one said a word. "So, it's not a nephew, it's a niece?" Not long after, little Meow Meow was washed clean, wrapped in a cute pink blanket, and sent to Xiangyi's ward. Shi Sui was feeding Xiangyi to replenish her energy. The two of them didn't know that several people had already gone crazy outside. Almost as soon as she saw little Meow Meow, Xiangyi felt an urge to cry. Xiao Naofu. There was no reason for it. She knew, she just knew. "There's a birthmark in the shape of a cat's claw on the baby's butt." The nurse smiled and said, "It matches the name Little Meow Meow." After she left, Xiangyi carefully poked the baby's little face with her finger. It was warm and soft. Her eyes were full of curiosity. She gently poked and retracted her hand. After a while she couldn't help but poke again. "It's Xiao Naofu," she said. Shi Sui wasn't surprised at all. Xiao Naofu, the little white tiger pet, had been missing for a long time, so it wasn't hard to guess that it was the culprit. Shi Sui was rational, but when she looked at the baby she still felt a strange feeling in her heart. This child is he and Tutu's baby. It was very strange. "Yes, she's our daughter." Shi Sui's voice was as gentle as water. At this moment Xiang Qi rushed into the ward and wailed, "No, I don't believe it. How could it be my nephew?" "Why? What?" Xiangyi blinked. "It's a boy." Previously Xiao Naofu was a male cat. Now that it was a boy, Xiangyi's acceptance level was quite high. Shi Sui's face darkened visibly. Although it was a boy, she still kept using the name Little Meow Meow. It was worth mentioning that Jiang Jiujiu's baby, Fu Shirshi, was born at the same time as Little Meow Meow, but he was born more than an hour earlier. In the blink of an eye, Little Meow Meow was 2 years old. Today was the day that Xiangyi and Jiang Jiujiu had agreed to meet. Jiang Jiujiu had given birth abroad and due to various reasons, it was her first time returning to the country in the past 2 years. "Mommy hug." The fair and soft chubby little cat stretched out his hands and asked for a hug. Xiangyi's eyes curved slightly as she picked him up. "Meow Meow, we're going to see Brother Shirshi later." "Gua Gua?" Little Meow Meow asked curiously, "What kind of pot is that? Can it cook rice?" Chapter 1074. Little Meow Meow was a child who could speak early and could basically speak in short sentences. Xiangyi explained, "It's not the cook, it's brother Shirshi who sings for you." She often video called Jiang Jojo. As the son of a violinist, Fu Shirshi had a good sense of music and could sing simple nursery rhymes. Hence, he couldn't escape from the performance segment. However, Fu Shirshi always had a serious expression on his face. Little Meow Meow liked his singing but was often scared to tears. Oh. Little Meow Meow laid on Xiangyi's shoulder and immediately lost interest. Shirshi is so fierce and I don't like it. He liked big cats. Big cats would come to play with him every few days. Their ears and tail were fluffy and they could even ride on them to play. Little Meow Meow really liked them. While speaking, Xiangyi carried him to the gate. Fu Jian and Jiang Jojo also happened to arrive. Jiang Jojo scurried over and exclaimed, "Ah, Little Meow Meow is so cute. Can I kiss you?" Little Meow Meow knew her and nodded, but he only gestured 2 fingers at her. "Hee, I'm long prepared." Jiang Jojo smiled and took out 2 lollipops. Little Meow Meow held one in each hand and then gestured for her to kiss them. "Little guy, you're quite familiar with this." Jiang Jojo teased and smacked her lips. "Wow, it's so fragrant and soft. You're indeed different from my little rascal." Little Meow Meow raised the lollipop in front of her and said, "Auntie, open it." Jiang Jojo tore open the lollipop wrapper for him and deliberately teased him. "Can I kiss your mommy then?" Little Meow Meow immediately hugged Xiangyi's neck and said sternly, "No." "Why?" "Only daddy can kiss mommy, auntie is not daddy." "Sure, your logic is quite clear." Fu Jian carried Fu Shirshi over and the adults greeted each other while the 2 children stared at each other. Fu Shirshi had perfectly inherited his parents' genes. He had a handsome face at a young age and his eyes were black and his hair was black. He looked cold but his voice was childish. "Hello, I'm Fu Shirshi. My name is Little Meow Meow." Little Meow Meow licked the lollipop and asked in a muffled voice, "Do you want some?" Candy had a fatal attraction to children. Even Fu Shirshi was no exception. Fu Shirshi nodded coldly and extended his fair hand. Little Meow Meow put the well-packaged lollipop into her pocket and sucked on the lollipop in her mouth before handing the lollipop to Fu Shirshi. That lollipop was obviously a lot smaller. Fu Shirshi. Little Meow Meow had a sly look in his eyes. After all, he was the one who battled with Papa every day. The little boy had already learned the routine. Giving a candy stained with saliva equals the other party definitely won't accept it equals I can eat 2 candies. Perfect. However, what caught him off guard was, Fu Shirshi was expressionless. He lowered his head slightly and sucked on the candy that Little Meow Meow had licked. Little Meow Meow's eyes widened, her pure and flawless eyes filled with disbelief. Was there something wrong with this Wok's brain? Fu Shirshi tasted it and said calmly, "It's sweet." Little Meow Meow, who had lost the lollipop, felt aggrieved and pitiful as she rubbed her head against Xiangyi's neck. Sob, sob, sob. The routine had failed. After a few seconds he heard the annoying Wok's voice. "Hey, are you crying?" Little Meow Meow's eyes were filled with tears as she looked at him pitifully. Fu Shirshi's heart softened and he sighed silently. She was still that stupid cat. Chapter 1075. Fu Shirshi handed the lollipop back to her and stared at Little Meow Meow. "Do you want more?" Little Meow Meow blinked her watery eyes. "Is it for me? May I?" Little Meow Meow asked softly. "Yes." Fu Shirshi answered. Little Meow Meow was overjoyed and grabbed the lollipop with her chubby paws. Ignoring the fact that Fu Shirshi had already eaten the lollipop, she stuffed it into her mouth. Fu Shirshi felt a little awkward. He knew that Xiao Naofu had already lost its memory and was now a heartless little fool. However, he was different. Like Xiangyi, he was also a fast transmigrator with an S rating. After completing the mission he could fulfill a wish. Xiangyi's wish was to return to this world. His wish was to retain all his memories. In that case, no matter how far away he was from Xiao Naofu, as long as he still had his memories, he would definitely be able to find this silly cat. He didn't expect to be so lucky as to meet Xiao Naofu so soon. All he could see was Little Meow Meow. Xiangyi secretly observed him. Is it little Shiji? After all, she had been with Xiao Naofu for a long time and could clearly sense it. However, she hadn't known little Shiji for long and could vaguely sense it now, but she wasn't sure. As if sensing Xiangyi's confusion, Fu Shirshi looked at her with a serious expression on his face. "It's me." Xiangyi smiled. "What are you talking about?" Jiang Jojo was puzzled. "Forget it, you'd better go play with Little Meow Meow. Remember to take good care of your brother." Fu Jian put his son down and instructed, "Don't bully your brother." Little Meow Meow was a little afraid of him, but under Xiangyi's encouragement she stood on the ground bravely. However, her eyes were watery and she looked extremely frightened. Big brother, do you want to catch a foo butterfly? A foo butterfly? Little Meow Meow pointed at the glass greenhouse. Fu Shirshi nodded and naturally held Little Meow Meow's hand. Little Meow Meow blinked her long eyelashes and said, Big brother. You're not daddy and I'm not mommy. So, I shouldn't be able to hold hands, right? Just like how no one else could kiss mama, only papa could kiss mama. Others might find it difficult to understand his logic, but Fu Shirshi understood it easily. We are friends. Friends can also hold hands. I see. Other than when she had a battle of wits and courage with her father, Little Meow Meow had an innate instinct. At other times she was quite innocent. Yes, we're good friends. Little Meow Meow's voice was soft and cute, just like a little kitten. However, when she saw butterflies she seemed to have smelled catmint. Fudai. Fu Shirshi's lips curled into a smirk as he watched him dash forward to catch the butterfly. This kitten still liked to catch butterflies as before. He followed behind Little Meow Meow unhurriedly, supporting it from time to time when it was about to fall. On the other side, resting her chin in her hands, Jiang Jojo said in melancholy, It's a pity that Shirshi and Little Meow Meow can't be betrothed to each other. I was thinking that at least one of us would be a daughter and we could tie her hair and wear dresses for her. It's good to be friends, Xiangyi said with a smile. We can't get engaged when we're kids, but who says we can't wear dresses? Meow Meow, Shirshi, come here for a while. A few minutes later, Xiangyi and Jiang Jojo changed Little Meow Meow into a white princess dress, paired with a purple Stardew bunny earring headband, a pair of black leather shoes and a pair of floral socks. He tilted his head and looked around. Where's Big Brother? Chapter 1076. In the cloakroom. Fu Shirshi gripped the hem of the black baby collar dress tightly, feeling so embarrassed that smoke was rising from the top of his head. Not only was he wearing a dress, but his mother, Jiang Jojo, even made him wear a wig. He had curly hair with a red bow. He had to admit that he had a good sense of aesthetics. However, he was a boy. I'm a lion. Is it appropriate for me to dress like this? Is it appropriate? Where's Guogua? A soft voice rang in his ears. I miss Guogua. Fu Shirshi gritted his teeth. It's better to get the pain over with than to prolong the pain. So be it. Well, the kitten misses me. Fu Shirshi bit the bullet and opened the sliding door. Jiang Jojo kept snapping photos with the camera. So cute. Baby, look at the camera here. Fu Shirshi was cold and stiff. He reluctantly cooperated with her and made a V with his hand. He looked at Xiangyi. He could clearly sense that Xiangyi was trying to hold back her laughter. She must have guessed that I have memories and even suggested that I cross-dressed with Xiao Naofu. What a scheming woman. Fu Shirshi secretly lampooned in his heart. In the next second, Little Meow Meow pounced over. Wow, her voice was the essence of Fu Shirshi's voice. She dragged her voice and sounded rather childish. Guogua, are you an older sister? Little Meow Meow asked curiously. Fu Shirshi said uncomfortably, I'm a man. Little Meow Meow fell into suspicion. She clearly looks like a pretty sister. However, he was used to being carefree and after struggling with it for a few seconds he threw that question to the back of his mind. Little Meow Meow lifted the hem of her dress and twirled happily on the spot. Guogua, look. Fu Shirshi said, yes. As soon as he said that, Little Meow Meow stood still and looked at him expectantly with her clear round eyes. Fu Shirshi suddenly had an ominous hunch. Just as he had expected. Little Meow Meow asked, Guogua, why aren't you twirling? Fu Shirshi. I'm a lion. I'm twirling around in a dress. Don't I have any pride? Your mother knows who I'm. Little Meow Meow pouted. Guogua, you don't like playing with me? Fu Shirshi quickly said, I didn't. Then why aren't you spinning in circles? Fu Shirshi felt helpless. This stupid cat, he sighed heavily in his heart. Fu Shirshi lifted the hem of her dress and twirled around perfunctorily. Jiang Jojo exclaimed, Ah, girl, you're so beautiful. Xiangyi remained calm and quietly turned on the recording mode. From the room to the greenhouse and from the greenhouse to the pond, countless precious photos were taken, which would become Fu Shirshi's dark history many years later. After shooting for half a day they were all tired. Xiangyi was about to lead everyone back to the living room when she heard a familiar voice. Oh my, whose family's the little princess is this? Little Meow ran over. Uncle. Li Jinyu bent down and picked up Meow Meow with a smile. Little Meow Meow, you've gained weight again. Uncle, you've become ugly again. Li Jinyu? He felt as if he had been stabbed in the heart. You've really inherited your mother's looks and your father's mouth. Li Jinyu pinched little Meow Meow's face and said, "Let me rephrase, little Meow Meow is super cute." Little Meow Meow shook her head and exclaimed, "Uncle is super handsome too." That's more like it. Li Jinyu looked at Xiangyi and grinned. Sister Yi Sure Sui is coming back soon. Let's talk about bringing a baby. Chapter 1077. An hour later. Little Meow Meow was tired from playing and was basking in the sun on the tatami by the French window, snoring continuously. Fu Shirshi was sitting next to him and flipping through a few fairy tale picture books, looking very obedient. On the other side. How long has Sure Sui been at home? It's been 2 or 3 years. I heard that he was hesitant to go when he was nominated for an Oscar. Li Jinyu tried to persuade them. Sister Yi, don't slack off. You have no idea how many people are looking forward to your comeback. He wasn't exaggerating. Ordinary artists would lose most of their popularity if they didn't make a comeback. However, Sure Sui and Xiangyi were different. It had been almost 3 years since Two Under One Roof was broadcast. However, the number of views had always been at the top of the variety show rankings. The two of them would occasionally post on Weibo and easily get more than 100,000 comments. Xiangyi chuckled and said, "I'm fine with it." What does Sure Sui say? I've looked for him several times before, but he seems to be uninterested. Li Jinyu touched his nose resentfully. I don't think he plans to return to the entertainment industry. Sure Sui had been working behind the scenes for the past 2 years and would invest in several movies and television series every year. He had also taken over some of Tomato Entertainment's work. Now, Tomato Entertainment was already in existence that could compete with Xingchen Entertainment in the entertainment industry. In fact, they were even better in some aspects. Ding! The sound of the fingerprint lock being unlocked sounded. At the door, a tall and slender figure appeared in front of everyone. It was Sure Sui. He was wearing a clean and simple white shirt that outlined his well-proportioned figure. He strode through the door with his long legs, carrying a paper bag from a dessert shop in his hand. After greeting Li Jinyu and the others, Sure Sui walked out of the kitchen. When he came out again, he was holding a tray with a few pieces of cake on it. He placed the strawberry tiramisu in front of Xiangyi and went straight to the point. Do you have a proposal? Li Jinyu hurriedly explained. This time, bringing up a baby was planned to be live-streamed 6 times, each one a week apart, which was about the same as the current update speed of variety shows. Every episode had a different theme, such as visiting relatives, a father taking care of his child independently and making new friends. Sure Sui looked at it carefully and nodded. Okay. Li Jinyu was overjoyed. Then I'll get someone to prepare the contract. Friends were friends and work was work. He had always been very clear about that. Sure Sui and Xiangyi said at the same time, wait. Xiangyi said gently, we need to ask for little Meow Meow's opinion. Li Jinyu was stunned. Little Meow Meow was only 2 years old. Would a normal parent ask for a child's opinion? It doesn't seem like it. Anyway, when he was young, no one at home asked him about it. Coincidentally, little Meow Meow had just woken up. Rubbing her eyes, she saw Sure Sui and immediately ran over. Little Meow Meow jumped into Xiangyi's arms and said coquettishly, Mama, I want hugs, I want kisses, I want to be lifted up high. Sure Sui narrowed her eyes, emitting a dangerous aura. Come here. I don't want to. Little Meow Meow hugged Xiangyi tightly and rubbed against her collarbone. Mama, Papa is fierce to me. Woo, Sure Sui clicked her tongue. Was she asking for a beating again? He lowered his eyelashes, looking helpless and pitiful. Did I do something wrong? That's why Meow Meow hates Papa. It's okay if Papa is sad as long as Meow Meow is happy. Li Jinyu and the others were in a daze. This scene, why did it feel so familiar? Chapter 1078. Xiangyi rubbed the space between her eyebrows, already used to it. Such a scene had been played out countless times. She didn't know if Xiao Naofu's green tea meow had influenced Sure Sui, or if Sure Sui's green tea meow had spread from one person to another. In short, it was normal for the father and son to argue with each other at home, and it was even more normal for them to act together. Okay, let's get down to business. Meow Meow, Uncle wants us to do a live broadcast just like Fourth Uncle's competition. There will be a lot of people watching us through the internet. Some people will think that Meow Meow is cute and some people will think that Meow Meow is not cute. Some people will like Meow Meow and some people will hate Meow Meow. So, Meow Meow, do you think you can accept it? Do you want to do a live stream? Little Meow Meow's ability to understand was not bad. Besides, ever since he could speak, Xiangyi would ask for his opinion. After a long time, little Meow Meow learned that he had a choice and that his parents would respect his decision. Why would anyone hate me? Little Meow Meow tilted his head and asked in confusion. Li Jinyu exclaimed, "Hey no! The whole world likes Meow Meow." Not far away, Fu Shirshi nodded in agreement. Well said. Xiangyi explained seriously, because everyone has different ideas just like how Meow Meow and Daddy and Mommy think differently. Meow Meow likes lollipops, Daddy hates lollipops and Mommy doesn't like or dislike lollipops. Meow Meow may change Daddy and Mommy's minds, but it may never change. Li Jinyu scratched his head, wondering if Xiangyi was being too profound for such a young child. However, little Meow Meow seemed to be deep in thought. Mommy? He raised his beautiful starry eyes and pouted his chubby cheeks. I want to be with Daddy and Mommy. As long as he was with Daddy and Mommy, he wouldn't be afraid. He didn't care if others didn't like him. As long as Daddy and Mommy liked him, he would be the happiest child in the world. Li Jinyu was a little surprised. It turns out that children know so much? He was a little surprised, but he immediately felt relieved. Maybe another miracle will happen during this live stream. A week later at 8:30 p.m., Weibo traffic was at its peak. The official Weibo account of Two Under One Roof, which had been silent for a long time, was updated. Two Under One Roof v. Two Under One Roof? Bring a baby? Do you still remember our gentle Xiangyi? Do you still remember our Westlake Longjing Swayze? Saturday 10 o'clock a.m., live streaming with children is coming. Shui, Xiangyi and little Meow Meow will be there. Then Shui and Xiangyi reposted the post. In an instant the popularity exploded. Weibo was on the verge of collapse and programmers were working overtime. The netizens were overjoyed as if they were celebrating the new year. They had been waiting for too long. Ah, little Laozi is finally going to be updated. Shui is Sister Yi's baby? The name sounds so cute. So is she returning? Please hurry up and start your career. Saturday 10 o'clock. The camera began to film a familiar scene. The OUF flowers climbing on the black iron gate seemed to have become more luxuriant, and the layers of flowers were incomparably gorgeous. Walking along the stone path, they saw an unbelievably beautiful manor. In the distance there was a familiar pond, a vegetable field, a little black pig and ducks. In the glass greenhouse, a small figure was running and catching butterflies. Everyone held their breaths, wanting to see the cute baby's face. Chapter 1079. As if having guessed what the audience was thinking, the camera shook twice and the cameraman adjusted the angle. Little Meng's face appeared on the screen. The child looked like he was carved out of jade. His hair was a little curly and he looked like a doll. His eyes were pure and flawless, like clear spring water. His eyelashes were long and curly, and his lips were red and pouty. At first glance, it was hard to tell if he was a boy or a girl. Countless netizens were watching the live stream. Ah, he's so cute. Baby, I declare that I'm your biological mother now. Bow. From today onwards, I'm your godfather, okay? Little Meow Meow was completely unaware of the comments online. After failing to catch a butterfly for a long time, he was a little annoyed and stomped his feet angrily. Li Jinyu was amused. Little Meow Meow, you didn't catch a butterfly again? Do you need me to catch one for you? Thank you, Uncle, I can do it, Little Meow Meow answered in his childish voice, melting the hearts of countless men and women in front of the screen. This was simply a series that tricked people into having children. Li Jinyu said, "Say hello to everyone, there are a lot of people watching our Little Meow Meow." Little Meow Meow immediately stopped catching butterflies and trotted over to the cameraman. In order to take a picture of him, the cameraman squatted down. Little Meow Meow leaned in front of the camera and pressed his face against the screen. Is anyone there? Can you see me? After zooming in, his cuteness doubled. The comments section was filled with screams. Yes, I can see you, baby. Li Jinyu laughed and said, Meow Meow, you don't have to get so close, everyone can see you. Oh, Little Meow Meow stepped back a little and stood still obediently. He waved at everyone and said, Hello, my nickname is Meow Meow, my real name is Shiji, my father is Shui, my mother is Xiangyi, and my uncle is... When it came to his third uncle, Little Meow Meow had already started counting with his fingers. When it came to his fourth uncle, Little Meow Meow sighed. Sigh, why do I have so many uncles? The netizens burst into laughter. Little Meow 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 counted all his relatives and still felt that it wasn't enough. He thought about it and said, My name is Cici. Fu Shirshi was too difficult to pronounce. Little Meow Meow Meow, Cici. In an instant, the netizens were energized. Guogua? Brother? Since when did little Meow Meow have a brother? Did Shui and Xiangyi have other children? And my friend is called Huhu. Little Meow Meow yawned. Alright, I'm done with the introductions. I'm going to sleep. Li Jinyu? The audience? Little Meow Meow was very familiar with the place. She would often lie down on the soft tatami mattress at the side, not forgetting to cover herself with a small blanket. Not long after her head hit the pillow, she would fall asleep. After a while she was snoring. Live stream? She fell asleep? How could a guest in a variety show suddenly fall asleep? However, little Meow Meow was still a child, so they did not hold him to the standards of an adult. On the contrary, his parents were very pleased. Look, our baby is sleeping so soundly. To be honest, her snoring was quite nice. Li Jinyu did not expect this development either. He laughed dryly and said, then let's go see what Shui and Sister Yi are doing. The group walked to the living room and saw Shui reading in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. Sister Yi? She's probably too tired from last night. She's still sleeping, a certain actor said calmly. The live stream exploded. There's evidence. Chapter 1080. Ahem, I can read these words, but why do I suddenly not understand what they mean? Is little Meow Meow going to have a younger brother or sister? Shui closed the book and went to the kitchen unhurriedly. He skillfully washed, cut, and arranged the vegetables one by one. He stewed the chicken soup in a casserole pot and baked the small cake. After making the milk powder, he went to the glass greenhouse. Little Meow Meow had just woken up and was rubbing his eyes as he sat down. Seeing him, little Meow Meow called out softly. Daddy. Shui handed the milk bottle to him, but little Meow Meow refused to take it and said coquettishly, Daddy, feed me. Drink it yourself. Little Meow Meow pouted. In the live stream, the netizens began to condemn Shui. Hurry up and feed our little baby. Dog, this is your son. Maybe it's because he's a son that she's not feeding him? You may have guessed the truth. While everyone was discussing heatedly, a soft and sweet voice sounded from outside the greenhouse. Little Meow Meow. The netizens were in an uproar. Sister Ya. Hearing his mother's voice, little Meow Meow lifted the blanket and ran to his mother's side. Xiangyi was wearing a white dress and a beige knitted sweater, looking gentle and homely. She picked up little Meow Meow. Moi. Little Meow Meow kissed her on the cheek and said, Good morning, Mommy. Good morning, Meow Meow. I want milk. Little Meow Meow raised the milk bottle and said, I want Mommy to feed me. Little Meow Meow had already started repeating his words when he saw his mother. Xiangyi had always doted on him. She sat him down on the tatami mat and patiently fed him with the milk bottle. While drinking, little Meow Meow glanced at Shui provocatively. He didn't forget to secretly complain to Xiangyi. Mommy, Daddy wants to starve me to death. Shui was speechless. Little brat, say that again? Look, Daddy is glaring at me. Little Meow Meow hid in Xiangyi's arms, looking pitiful. Meow Meow, it's better for you to go on a hunger strike so that Daddy won't have any geese. If there are no geese, Daddy will be happy. Shui raised an eyebrow and retorted lazily, I'm sorry, Meow Meow. I can't become what Meow Meow wants. How about I run away from home and find you a new father? The father and son began their daily exchange of tea. Xiangyi sighed. It was starting again. The netizens in the live stream were amused by the interaction between the father and son. Meow Meow is indeed the son of the tea sage. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. Shui is the best tea. Sister Yi's expression is too cute. It's not easy to raise a baby. Sister Yi sighs. Xiangyi said, If you two keep messing around, I won't talk to you anymore. In an instant, tears welled up in Meow Meow's eyes. Mama, I was wrong. Shui coughed softly and said, I'll go check on the chicken soup. Xiangyi said, Same old rules. Those 3 words made Shui and Meow Meow both reveal pained expressions. Everyone waited expectantly for what would happen next. After more than 10 seconds of stalemate, Meow Meow gritted his teeth and kissed Shui's face in disgust. Papa, I love you. Shui also kissed his face in disgust and said perfunctorily, Meow Meow, I love you too. After the kiss, the two of them stepped back as if they had touched something dirty. Meow Meow frantically wiped his mouth with his sleeve. Shui also pursed his thin lips with his fingers. Xiangyi nodded in satisfaction. Very good, a loving father and a filial son. That sentence directly brought the variety show to its climax. A loving father and a filial son are the best, ha. Shui and Meow Meow, their faces say, I do. Sister Yi is still the best. She's so good at running a family. Thumbs up. Good night. The extras were expected to be completed tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. They would then write about their previous lives, which was also expected to be short. They were going to finish it in the next few days, so the update might be a little boring. Chapter 1081. The live stream continued. Next, everyone admired the culinary skills. However, Shui was now the one cooking. He used to cook instant noodles, but now he could cook dishes effortlessly. He could be said to be a virtuous husband. Xiangyi took Meow Meow to pick some fruits. She went to the side to cut grapes while Meow Meow took a fancy to the hawthorns. He wasn't hungry, he was just craving them. Although the little guy liked to be coquettish, he wasn't completely dependent on his parents. His lotus root-like chubby arms hugged the tree, and his short legs climbed up the tree with great difficulty. He slipped and fell. Unwilling to admit defeat, Meow Meow tried to climb again. By the time Xiangyi realized that he was climbing the tree, Meow Meow had already climbed more than a meter. The little chubby hand tried hard to reach up and pulled off a hawthorn, but he immediately lost his balance. He exclaimed, but instead of falling to the ground, he fell into his mother's warm arms. The netizens finally felt relieved. However, everyone had a strange look in their eyes. Is it really a tree climbing skill? I'm already 20 years old, but I still can't climb trees. I suddenly feel like a good-for-nothing. I have to say, Meow Meow is really fast at climbing trees. The power of genes is too strong. Xiangyi said helplessly, Meow Meow, climbing trees is too dangerous. In the next second, Meow Meow stuffed the hawthorn into her mouth and said softly, Mommy, eat. Xiangyi tasted it and said, it's a little sour. Meow Meow rolled his eyes and said, then I'll pick some more for Daddy. Xiangyi was speechless. You're really smart. Li Jinyu couldn't help but laugh out loud. Aren't you afraid that your father will do the same to you? That guy is the real black-bellied one. Although he looks like a good person on the surface, he's actually a scheming and evil person. Meow Meow refused Xiangyi's help and insisted on climbing the tree by himself. Xiangyi thought about it and decided that it wouldn't be that dangerous with Meow Meow looking after him. When she was 2 years old, she seemed to know how to climb trees to pick fruits. Thus, Xiangyi gave little Meow Meow some pointers. Soon little Meow Meow grasped the knowledge and climbed up. After filling both bags, little Meow Meow prepared to come down. Unfortunately, he did not have enough strength. In the end, it was Xiangyi who carried him down. Even so, this scene was shocking enough. The video of little Meow Meow climbing the tree was instantly made into a small video and circulated. Video of early humans conquering nature. Congratulations, your ancestral tree climbing talent has been maxed out. Isn't it possible to climb trees as long as you have hands? Xiangyi took Meow Meow back to wash its hands and face. She washed the hawthorns and let them dry so that she could make hawthorn cakes in the afternoon. At this time, Shui finished cooking. It was time for lunch. Little Meow Meow had her own baby seat and her own bowl and chopsticks. She loved prawns the most. She picked 3 prawns into her bowl and gave the first one to Xiangyi. Mama, baby will feed you. The old parents in front of the screen smiled with relief. Look at how filial our child is. Shui said coldly, go ahead and eat your food. Little Meow Meow argued, if Papa can feed Mama, why can't baby? Papa used his mouth last time. Xiangyi quickly covered her baby's mouth. The rest of her words were all stuffed back into her mouth. The smiles on the parents' faces froze. They suddenly remembered that they were still single. Chapter 1082. After dinner, Shui and Xiangyi played with Meow Meow for a while to play with building blocks and talk about picture books. Little Meow Meow fell asleep. The audience watching the live stream couldn't help but laugh. This kid is so good at sleeping. He's such a lazy cat. Shui picked up a small blanket at the side and placed it over little Meow Meow's body. Little Meow Meow seemed to be dreaming as he mumbled incoherently, Papa, eat hawthorn. Shui recalled the hawthorn that little Meow Meow had given him, and his teeth were still aching from the sourness. He clicked his tongue and patted little Meow Meow's butt gently. Little brat, I think you want to send your father away. Xiangyi laughed. The netizens also burst into laughter. Good boy, he doesn't forget to trick his father even in his dreams. Tutu's child equals little brat, nothing wrong. I've recorded this. I wonder what little Meow Meow's expression will be when he grows up and finds out that he's being spanked by millions of people. Ha! After the afternoon nap, Shui and Xiangyi took little Meow Meow out fishing. Halfway through, they ran into the little black pig. Little Meow Meow boldly chased after the pig while shouting, Mommy, I want to eat this. The netizens exclaimed, Did you hear that? When they arrived at the pond, Shui skillfully put out the bait and cast the line. Soon he caught a fish that weighed more than a kilogram. Little Meow Meow was drooling as she stared at Sure Sui with her starry eyes. Papa, I want to kiss you, can I? Sure Sui raised his eyebrows. You want to eat fish? No, I just like Papa, so I want to kiss Papa. Sure Sui pinched his little cheeks and said lazily, go play somewhere else. Little Meow Meow's head drooped. Sure Sui added, I'll make you fish soup tonight. Whoosh, Little Meow Meow raised his head and said with bright eyes, Papa is great. With a smack, he kissed Sure Sui and happily continued to chase after the pigs. Xiangyi also kissed Sure Sui with a sweet smile. Good luck, Mr. Sure. She got up and followed Little Meow Meow. Sure Sui, who was by the pond, smirked, exuded a relaxed and lazy aura. Passers-by may not know, but his old fans did. With the comparison, they finally understood that Sure Sui's gentleness in the past were just a facade. Behind that facade, there was an unapproachable and distant aura. You'll never know if he's as. But now it was different. It was really... At the end of the first live stream, the response of bringing babies was explosive. Not only did it sway as the netizens were full of praises, and they all expressed that whether it was Sure Sui and Xiangyi getting along with each other or the interaction between the family of three, they were all very comfortable. They respected and doted on each other. After watching this variety show, all the hostility in one's heart disappeared and was replaced by warmth. In the second episode, Sure Sui and Xiangyi brought Little Meow Meow back to the Xiang family mansion. The netizens witnessed what it meant to be doted on. Little Meow Meow was completely doted on. It was because Little Meow Meow was a boy that Xiangyi was really doted on by everyone in the Xiang family. The interaction between Little Meow Meow and Grandpa Xiang was also hilarious. Xiang Feng wanted to trick Little Meow Meow, but Little Meow Meow did the opposite and even got beaten up by Xiang Wan. Once again, it proved that Xiang Feng was at the bottom of the food chain in the Xiang family. The third episode, the fourth episode, every episode of the livestream would cause a stir on the internet. In the blink of an eye, Little Meow Meow became the hottest child star in the country and even the world. In the blink of an eye, the last episode was here. Chapter 1083. There were only a few minutes left before the livestream started. The fans in the livestream were rubbing their hands together, ready to raise their child. Everyone was exclaiming how cute Little Meow Meow was in the comments section while discussing what the theme of this episode was. Although every livestream was a daily routine, Li Jianyu's directing skills were very good and he secretly controlled a main storyline. This was one of the important reasons why each episode was dull but interesting. At 10 o'clock sharp, the livestream lit up. This episode was not set in Little Rabbit Manor. Instead, in a car? The cameraman first took a picture of the scenery outside the window before moving to the back seat. The back seat was spacious and the interior was simple but elegant. The camera locked onto Fu Shirshi in the safety seat. The child was wearing a black suit with a bow tied neatly. At such a young age, his handsome features were already visible. He held a gift box in his hand and looked a little nervous. The netizens were a little curious. Who was this child? A moment later, the car stopped at the entrance of Little Rabbit Manor. Little Meow Meow was the first to run out when he saw the car. Gua. A netizen with a strong memory immediately explained. I've watched it more than 10 times. If I remember correctly, this should be the Guagua CC that Little Meow Meow mentioned in the first episode. Fu Shirshi saw Little Meow Meow running so fast and frowned, afraid that he would fall. He jumped out of the car and whispered, "Hey, slow down." Plop. Little Meow Meow fell. He pursed his lips and was about to cry when Fu Shirshi appeared in front of him. Fu Shirshi helped his little silly cat up and patted the dust on his knees. Does it hurt? Yes. Little Meow Meow nodded as tears welled up in his pure eyes. Fu Shirshi pursed his lips. Sorry, I'll run faster next time. That way, I'll be able to catch you before you fall. Little Meow Meow sniffed. It's okay, I won't cry. If I cry, Daddy and Mommy will be sad too. He did not want to be a child who made Daddy and Mommy sad. Good boy. Fu Shirshi was like an older brother as he patted Little Meow Meow's head and handed him a gift. Here, a gift for you. Little Meow Meow opened it and was pleasantly surprised. Wow. Dried fish. Fu Shirshi's face was tense. I made it, but Mommy helped me. Little Meow Meow couldn't wait any longer and stuffed one into her mouth. There wasn't much seasoning in the dried fish, which accentuated the original freshness. Of course, Little Meow Meow always remembered the principle of sharing. After eating one, she didn't forget to share one with Fu Shirshi. I'm eating a pot too. It's so delicious. Fu Shirshi said nonchalantly, as long as you like it. However, the corners of his mouth had already curled up. He had to make more delicious food for little Meow Meow in the future. After all, he was going to be the cat's keeper. This scene struck a chord with countless netizens. Two little cuties are twice as cute. Woo, our kitten has made friends. He's too outstanding. Cece looks like she has a big brother. Looks like she'll take care of Meow Meow when she grows up. Speaking of which, does anyone remember Xiao Naofu and little Shiji? He had heard that they had gone to Meow Meow and Wolf Planet. But when he saw Meow Meow and Cece, he felt that they were back. Perhaps there is always fate in the unseen world? In the air, in the void that no one could see, the little white tiger used its claws to dig the hole and roared angrily. Damn it! That's my cat. I'm the keeper, okay? Stinky lion. Woof 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 woof. On the ground, Fu Shirshi and little Meow Meow held hands and walked home together. The sun shone brightly and warmly on the two of them. Millions of fans were watching them grow up and giving them their blessings for their future. Hey, please grow up well, happily and blissfully. Chapter 1084. After the livestream ended, the number of views on the online version was still high. The subsequent daily life of the two adorable children, little Meow Meow and Fu Shirshi, was even more addictive. Amidst the strong cheers of the netizens, Xiangyi and Jiang Jiujio created separate Weibo accounts for little Meow Meow and Fu Shirshi, posting photos of the two of them from time to time. A few days after the Weibo account was opened, the two of them had more than 10 million fans. They were even more popular than some young hunks. The little white tiger secretly went to look for little Meow Meow several times in a bid to make her understand who her keeper was. Unfortunately, every time Fu Shirshi scolded him, he would get angry and his fur would stand on end. His barking would never stop. On this day, the little white tiger came to feed little Meow Meow as usual. It brought a lot of food for little Meow Meow, including ginseng as carrots, bird's nest as white fungus, spiritual fish in the world of immortal cultivation, nutrient fluids in the world of interstellar, and other strange foods as snacks. Eat more, chubby Meow Meow. The little white tiger touched little Meow Meow's head with its paw with a benevolent expression. Little Meow Meow said, "You eat too. I'm tired of eating these." The little white tiger flipped around and pulled out a few carrots from the void. "I'll eat these, the carrots grown by stupid rabbits taste pretty good. Do rabbits grow carrots too?" Little Meow Meow asked curiously. "Tisk, what's so great about carrots?" "That rabbit spirit is very powerful," little Meow Meow exclaimed and skillfully moved her small stool over. She didn't forget to pick up a piece of watermelon and nibble on it. "I want to hear a story." The little white tiger pursed his lips. "This fat cat. Every time I tell him something, he listens with great interest. This story is a long story." At the same time, Xiangyi sensed the arrival of the little white tiger. She had never disturbed it in little Meow Meow. Although she didn't like the little white tiger very much, it was little Meow Meow's friend and that was enough. She leaned against the tatami and read some medical books for a while before falling asleep soon. Xiangyi had a strange dream. In her dream, she saw a little white rabbit spirit. The rabbit spirit didn't like cultivation or interacting with humans. Instead, she liked growing carrots. She was very weak, but she could inject her meager spiritual energy into the water, humming a song as she watered the carrots. Seas turned into mulberry fields and all living things changed. The vegetable field had become a spiritual field, and the taste of the carrots had become more and more delicious. Unknowingly, the rabbit spirit had also become a great demon. One day, she found a humanoid creature in a black robe and a white tiger in the vegetable field. One man and one tiger were seriously injured. The white tiger's injuries were slightly lighter. It opened its eyes in a daze and looked at the rabbit spirit. The little rabbit was frightened. It picked up a carrot that was thicker than a person and knocked it unconscious. Before White Tiger fainted, it only had two thoughts. It's over, it's over. Can this carrot send Lord Shui away? The other was, so painful. I want to kill this rabbit. The rabbit spirit picked up the man and the tiger and brought them back to the nest. When the white tiger woke up again, it found itself tied up by vines. Its whole body was soaked in a pot with firewood under the pot. What are you doing? White Tiger was horrified. Don't tell me you want to eat me and milord? Don't you eat carrots? The rabbit spirit said innocently, No, I've always eaten a combination of meat and vegetables. At this moment, the eyelashes of the man on the bed fluttered. Chapter 1085. Only then did the white tiger realize that not only was his lord not in the pot, but he was also lying on the bed. The bed was in the shape of a flower. It was thick and soft and the blanket was fluffy from the sun. There was even the smell of the sun. He looked down at himself in the pot. The white tiger had a mental breakdown. Why don't you eat my lord? The little rabbit was puzzled and self-righteous. Why do you want to eat him? The white tiger was speechless. Cough, cough. The man on the bed coughed a few times. Although he was weak, he still propped himself up. The rabbit spirit was overjoyed. You're awake. Do you want to eat meat to nourish your body? I wonder how that tiger tastes. Will its meat be very dry? The man was at a loss for words. The white tiger had a mental breakdown. Damn it. Was this rabbit spirit despising him, a divine white tiger? Damn rabbit, let me tell you. My meat is not dry. My meat is the most delicious in the world. Really? The rabbit spirit was skeptical. How dare you doubt me? The white tiger was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. You're so noisy. The rabbit spirit was annoyed. He carried his carrot and swung it at him. Before the white tiger fainted, he saw that his lord was actually smiling. The man's thin lips curled up slightly for a moment before he returned to his weak state. Cough, 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 cough. Thank you, Lord Tutu, for saving my life. The little rabbit was successfully pleased by the words Lord Tutu, but she still shook her head. Although you're very good looking, I still want to eat you. But you're too thin now. I can eat you after I fatten you up a little. The man raised his eyebrows. A little rabbit spirit wanted to eat him? TSK. The little rabbit was clueless. She leaned over with her pink and white ears. Can you lay eggs? If you can, I won't eat you. I'll just keep the eggs for myself. The man's eyes flickered and his tone was apologetic. Sorry, I can't do anything about that. All right. The little rabbit was a little disappointed, but she did not give up. Can you give birth to cubs? I can eat your cubs. The white tiger woke up quickly this time. When he heard this, all his hair stood on end. Tian. This audacious little rabbit actually wanted to eat an adult's child. Was she not afraid of death? White tiger roared, Damned rabbit, the one in front of you is the god in charge of time and order in the sea of time. In order to repair the spatial hole in this plane, he had descended here. Hurry up and kneel down and beg for forgiveness. Gods? The little rabbit blinked. I've never eaten one before, so I don't know how it tastes. White tiger, ah. This stubborn and foolish rabbit spirit. A low and gentle voice rose slowly. Although I can't lay eggs, this white tiger might be able to. The white tiger was confused. My lord, it couldn't be. In the next second, it found itself unable to say a word. Silence spell? His lordship had the ability to use the silence spell, so why didn't he beat this rabbit up? The rabbit spirit was confused. But I've never seen a tiger that can lay eggs. It's different. It's a mythological beast, so it's not difficult for it to lay eggs. The man lowered his head, and his thick black eyelashes made his skin look even paler. I'll also try my best to gain weight, Master Tutu. The rabbit spirit came to a sudden realization. I understand now. So it's because I have to raise it for a few more days before I can eat it. Chapter 1086. The white tiger widened its eyes. His Excellency was lying. No, lying to the rabbit? Am I right? Under the rabbit spirit's expectant gaze, the white tiger and the man stayed. The man stayed on the bed while the white tiger stayed on the pot. As for the little rabbit, she had her own little nest. It was originally on the bed, but now it was on the ground. It had to be said that the rabbit spirit's food was very good. Let's talk about meat. In the past, the man didn't eat grains and the white tiger would occasionally hunt for food. It was used to eating raw meat. But for the rabbit spirit, eating meat was a kind of fastidious thing. Just roasted meat alone had many kinds of dipping sauces. As for the other ways to eat it, there were too many to mention. After eating for a few days, the white tiger's stomach was full. Several days later, the seriously injured man brought the white tiger out of the house for a stroll. As far as the eye could see, there was an endless vegetable field. Most of them were planted with the rabbit spirit's favorite carrots, and some other kinds of vegetables and fruits. On the hillside in the distance, there were free-range animals everywhere. There were also all kinds of fish and prawns in the pond. The white tiger was shocked. This rabbit could develop continuously? It actually knew how to grow vegetables and raise poultry. On second thought, weren't it and His Excellency also domesticated by her? My Excellency, this damned rabbit is insulting us. The white tiger was filled with righteous indignation. My injuries are much better now. Why don't you let me teach her a lesson first? When His Excellency's strength recovers, we'll return to the Sea of Time and, while we're at it, pull out all the carrots of this damned rabbit. The moment it thought of the rabbit spirit wiping her tears with drooping ears, It felt so good. The man glanced at it. Much better? Are you sure? Yes, yes. If you don't believe me, I'll show you a tiger pouncing on a rabbit. The white tiger attacked the rabbit spirit in the distance who was defenseless. Just as its sharp claws were about to strangle the rabbit spirit's neck, there was an unknown obstruction in the void, and the tiger fell beside the rabbit spirit. Coincidentally, there was a big rock on the ground. Clang. The white tiger was dizzy from the collision. It felt that the internal injuries that had just recovered were even more serious. Hey, why did you run out? The rabbit spirit turned around and saw that it had squashed a carrot. She said angrily, "You don't even know how to lay eggs, yet you're here to cause trouble. What's the point of keeping you?" White tiger was dizzy, and before it could react, the damned rabbit spirit had put a collar around its neck. It let out an earth-shattering roar. "This hoo-hoo is a divine beast. It's not your food." The rabbit spirit snorted, "I just happen to be lacking a dog. Here, you'll be guarding the door from now on." The white tiger wailed, "My lord, save me." Not only did his master not save him, he even covered his mouth with his bony hand and coughed a few times. "Me too?" His slender and pale fingers pointed at his neck. "There's no need. You're very obedient." The rabbit spirit smiled. "You just need to eat more and fatten yourself up, got it?" "Yes." The man responded, obedient and docile. The white tiger was dumbfounded. Could it be that his lordship's injuries were so severe that he had lost his mind? He clearly could have beaten this rabbit up, so why did he have to allow himself to be captured? Boo was confused and didn't understand. "By the way, the last time I went shopping in the human town, I bought a lot of storybooks. Do you know how to read them?" The little rabbit looked at the man. Her pink and white ears were slightly curled up and dyed with a hint of crimson. "Their words are too difficult. I came back to plant carrots before I could learn them." The white tiger was disdainful. "Tsk, illiterate. How could mere storybooks stump his lordship?" However, it heard an apologetic and gentle voice. "Sorry, I don't really understand them either. However, if Lady Tutu takes me to a human school, perhaps I can try to learn how to read." The white tiger was speechless. No, how did its wise and knowledgeable lordship become illiterate? Chapter 1087. It was the annual Lantern Festival in Xinjiang. The city was brightly lit and people were coming and going on the streets. The rabbit spirit and the man walked among the crowd. The pedestrians could barely sense their presence, but they all avoided them. "I'm awesome, right?" The rabbit spirit, who had transformed into a young girl, was a little proud. As a powerful demon, she still had the ability to hide from human perception. The man chuckled. "As expected of Lady Tutu." The rabbit spirit was so happy that her ears popped out. They fluttered twice before she pressed them back down. The man looked away from those fluffy ears and his fingertips inexplicably felt itchy. He just wanted to pinch her little ears. The school opened during the day, but the two were not in a hurry. They strolled around casually. Perhaps shopping was a female's talent, but the rabbit spirit was self-taught. Along the way, she bought candied haws, kites, lanterns, storybooks. When they reached a small stall selling masks, she carefully selected a tiger mask and put it on. Then she turned around and howled at the man. The man was stunned. "I'm super fierce," the rabbit spirit emphasized. Then her attention was attracted by a mask in the corner. She picked it up and compared it to the man's face. Satisfied, she said, "This is not bad. It suits you very well." It was a fox mask and the outline was exquisite and vivid. After putting it on, she really looked like a beautiful fox spirit. The man readily accepted her advice. "Thank you, Lady Tutu. I've met fox spirits before. They're all very good looking." The rabbit spirit paused and sighed. "But they're a little smelly. I'm afraid that they'll taste bad. I haven't tried them yet." The man smiled but did not say anything. On the street, a few fox spirits who had sneaked down the mountain suddenly looked as if they were facing a great enemy, as if their lives were in great danger. What's going on? Could it be that there's a demon hunter? Hey, there's a Kongming lantern. Not far away, a young girl wearing a tiger mask rushed toward the river. Normal people walked, but she walked as if she was hopping. Behind her, a black-haired man in a black robe followed. His steps were neither fast nor slow, but he always maintained a distance of one step behind the girl. The murderous aura was gone. The fox spirits heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat off their heads. However, they did not let down their guard. They did not dare to wander around the Lantern Festival, and they all quickly slipped away. By the river, sky lanterns rose into the air one after another, forming bright stars in the silent night sky. The rabbit spirit also bought a Kongming lantern. She did not know many human words, much less write them. However, she had her own unique way of making wishes. Her fair little hand drew a little rabbit and then drew countless carrots. The picture was crooked, like the scribbles of a human cub, full of childlike interest and innocence. The rabbit spirit was just about to release the Kongming lantern when it suddenly recalled that there was someone else beside it. Are you going to release it? I'll buy you one too. However, when he turned around, all the peddlers who had bought the Kongming lanterns were gone. Strange, why is everyone gone? She muttered in a low voice, but the man beside her didn't say anything. He didn't think there was anything wrong with using a shielding spell. The little rabbit could block human perception and he, unfortunately, could block the little rabbit's perception. Forget it, I'll draw it for you. The rabbit spirit generously handed her Kongming lantern to the man. You can only draw this side. Chapter 1088. The man thanked her and took the Kongming lantern. After thinking for a moment, he drew a small figure with his slender fingers. It had long hair and a long robe. It was like a replica of him. Then he drew a small tiger. Is that it? The rabbit spirit was curious. What's your wish? The man said in a low voice, That's my wish. Oh, I see. The rabbit spirit looked calm. It clearly didn't understand, but it still pretended to know everything. It was so cute. The Kongming lantern carried their wishes and gradually rose. The small flame gathered in the thousands of stars. The man looked up. He seemed to be looking at the sky but also seemed to be in a daze. Let's go and eat glutinous rice balls. His sleeve was grabbed. His eyes flickered and he let the little rabbit drag him forward. The next day, the rabbit spirit brought the man to the school. The two of them had spells, so they weren't afraid of being discovered by humans. They sat openly in the school. The two of them happened to encounter a newly opened elementary class. They started from the simplest words. Heaven and earth are black and yellow, the universe is chaotic. The little rabbit fell asleep after learning a few words. The sleeping little rabbit returned to its original form. A small one nestled on the desk. The man calmly carried her into his arms and placed her on his lap. The little rabbit's ears trembled. She felt a familiar aura and didn't wake up. The man pinched the rabbit's ears and rubbed the back of the rabbit's neck. The little rabbit slept even more soundly. Day after day. The rabbit spirit slept every day and the man went to class every day. 3 months passed. The two of them returned to the rabbit spirit's home. The white tiger had gained weight again. Not only that, it also liked to eat carrots. It also began to eat meat and vegetables in its daily diet. Under the bright peach blossoms, the man leaned against a tree trunk. Beside him was a white and soft little rabbit. Not far away, the white tiger was playing with poultry all over the mountains. According to it, this could make the meat more compact and delicious. Hubadian and Dumbo Rabbit finally lived happily together. The man's voice was like the sound of nature as he slowly told the story in the book. The rabbit spirit said regretfully, I thought the rabbit demon would eat the fox demon. The man stopped flipping through the book. Continue. I want to hear more. Hey. The rabbit spirit was stunned. The main characters in the story all have names. I have a name too, but you and White Tiger don't seem to have a name yet. The white tiger's ears twitched and it ran back with a swoosh. Its eyes were filled with anticipation. It had followed its master for countless years. He didn't even have a name. My lord, quickly give me a name. The white tiger looked at its lord anxiously. However, he heard the soft voice of the rabbit spirit. You'll be called Big Cat. The white tiger roared, This hoo-hoo is not a cat. All right, then let's do it. Such a perfunctory name. The white tiger was dissatisfied. Who do you think you are? I want my lord to give me a name. The man's voice was gentle. Listen to Tutu. White Tiger, also known as Brain Axe, was so angry that he slammed his head against the tree. The rabbit spirit's eyes widened. So waiting for the tiger to strike is real. The white tiger became even angrier. This illiterate rabbit. He was obviously waiting for the rabbit to show up. Also, my lord has lost his mind and his brain hasn't recovered yet. The idioms such as waiting for the rabbit to show up, the fox mourns the death of the rabbit, and cooking the dog when the rabbit is dead all mistakenly describe the rabbit as the tiger. Every time it wanted to correct him, my lord used the muting spell on it. It was simply unreasonable. Then what should I be called? The man asked with a smile. The rabbit spirit flipped through the book and pulled out a book from the pile. I remember that at the end of this story the female protagonist wrote a letter to the male protagonist. What was it at the end? Alright, Song of Sure Sway. You said it meant to wish you well all year round. Then you'll be called Sure Sway. Chapter 1089. At this point in the story, the little white tiger sighed. It took out a carrot from somewhere and started munching on it. Little Meow Meow asked curiously, "Why did you stop?" He had eaten many treasures, so his IQ was higher than ordinary children's. It wasn't hard for him to understand this story. It's boring after that? Little white tiger looked at the sky and said softly, "Are you sure you want to listen?" Little Meow Meow nodded. "Sigh, let's continue then." That god called Sure Sway stayed in the rabbit spirit's nest for a long time. During this period, the god, tiger, and rabbit even went out to explore together a few times. They crossed the Sea of Time and traveled all over the world, passing through all kinds of worlds. They witnessed life and death together, the rise and fall of the stars, and the surging of the tides. They also separated from time to time. Sure Sway was the god guarding the Sea of Time. He often had to deal with the broken void to prevent chaos. The rabbit spirit was still planting carrots. However, the new vegetable field that she opened up gradually started to plant other kinds of vegetables. The varieties that Sure Sway liked to eat. Year after year, year after year. During another reunion, the rabbit spirit took out the wine that she had brewed. The white tiger, also known as Brain Axe, was very wary. "You're not thinking of having a baby rabbit with Big Brother, are you?" The rabbit spirit asked innocently. "No, do you want to have a baby tiger with him? We're good friends now. I don't have to eat the baby tiger you give birth to." Brain Axe was facing a great enemy. "What nonsense are you talking about?" The familiar silence spell blocked all the nonsense it was about to say. "I'll drink with Lord Tutu." Sure Sway smiled. He was always wearing black robes in the past, but now he was wearing white. He looked elegant and gentle. "Lord, please." The rabbit spirit said embarrassedly, "Just call me Tutu. We've known each other for many years." Tutu. Sure Sway drank and praised, "Good wine." His voice was gentle and affectionate. It was a gentleness that Brain Axe had never experienced before. "Here, this is the present I brought for you." Sure Sway pulled out a pile of boxes from her sleeve. There was food, drinks, and toys. There were also many seeds of vegetables and fruits. Brain Axe was extremely envious. Woo, why was she so cold to him every day but so nice to this damned rabbit? The rabbit spirit smiled. "I have a gift for you too." She conjured up a storybook and flipped through the pages. What appeared inside were not words but moving images. A little rabbit helped two little people get together. In the end, the two little people held hands and the little person's head glowed, and a bunch of carrots fell from the sky. The rabbit spirit gestured with her hands and feet. "You can find many, many little rabbits to help you. The more people there are, the more strength there is. After the little rabbits finish their work, you can give them a corresponding reward. This way you won't have to worry about the void always being broken." Brain Axe's eyes widened. This rabbit spirit. Why did it feel like she was rather smart? Sure Sway said thoughtfully, "One rabbit may not be enough. We need a helper." A moment later he raised his hand and tapped on the book. On the page words appeared. White Tiger knew that Lord had used the rabbit spirit's suggestion to set the rules. "Tutu, this is a storybook we wrote together. The story is about traveling through time quickly. What do you think is a good name for the book?" Sure Sway tilted her head and asked. "Traveling through time quickly? Okay, I'll listen to Tutu." On this day the traveling through time system appeared. Before they could use it, the Sea of Time was turbulent. Chapter 1090. The turbulence was so widespread that even the rabbit spirit's nest began to shake. Space was faintly showing signs of breaking into pieces. Sure Sway was silent for a moment, then said, "Tutu, I should go." Brain Axe wanted to follow, but was thrown to the rabbit spirit's side. "Woo, be good and stay with her." Sure Sway sighed softly. His gaze fell on the rabbit spirit. He wanted to say something but felt that it was better not to say anything. The rabbit spirit hugged the big carrot and said softly, "I was lying to you before. I didn't want to eat you. Remember to come back for dinner. I'll help you take care of Brain Axe." Sure Sway stared at her. "Sorry? I also lied to you. My injuries aren't that serious and I'm not illiterate. There's a lot more." He took out a broken sky lantern. It was the one that he and the rabbit spirit had released. "Keep it as a memento. If I don't come back, throw it away." Sure Sway left. The nest went from shaking to stable and then shook violently. No one knew what kind of danger the god guarding the Sea of Time was going through. Oh. Brain Axe's tears fell. It knew that its master might die this time. Even gods could fall. And the rabbit spirit beside it was very calm. After the effect of the silence technique passed, Brain Axe roared, "You're heartless. Master is gone, but you're not sad at all. The last time the Sea of Time was turbulent, Master almost died. This time it's even worse than last time. Oh. The rabbit spirit said softly, "This place is for you. If possible, help me plant carrots." Brain Axe said angrily, "You're still thinking about planting carrots at a time like this. I don't only know how to plant carrots." She was a very powerful great demon. Under Brain Axe's shocked gaze, the rabbit spirit hugged her carrot and tore through the void bit by bit, jumping towards the sea of time. Every step he took left a bloody claw mark on the ground. Brain Axe realized something. "Hey, you stupid rabbit, you're not allowed to go." The claw mark seemed to be connected into a red thread. The god in the sea of time seemed to have sensed something. He turned around and saw a white and soft rabbit. His little rabbit. Later on, the space stabilized and the transmigration system was officially activated. There were countless workers and countless systems bustling about. Brain Axe became the guardian of the sea of time and the keeper of order. Little Meow Meow asked curiously, "Where did that god and rabbit go?" "They suppressed the chaos in the sea of time together. That god could have survived, but he left his last chance of survival to that annoying rabbit." The little white tiger's tone was a little angry and sobbing. "He didn't have to die. It's all that rabbit's fault." A few seconds later, the little white tiger wiped its tears. "Alright, I'm the liar. I've never blamed that rabbit. I blame myself." He blamed himself for not being strong enough and not even having the chance to sacrifice himself. It would rather sacrifice itself than let the gods and the rabbit spirit sacrifice themselves. Fortunately, in this lifetime they had finally met. Xiangyi had a strange dream. In the dream she was a rabbit spirit and met Shui, who was a god. After waking up, she told Shui about the dream. "Do you believe in the past life or the next life?" Xiangyi asked, resting her chin on her hand. The sunlight shone through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and Shui's figure seemed to be bathed in the light, outlining his well-defined silhouette. The man's voice was lazy. "I only believe in this life." Xiangyi's eyes curved. "What a coincidence." "Me too." The two of them looked at each other and smiled. "Sai, in this life I only believe in one person. And it's the rest of my life." End of book, 2021. 3-8-00-26. Thank you little angels for your support of Shui's sister E. That's why Anwan persevered until today. I hope that everyone in the story will be frozen in the most beautiful moment. I hope that we outside the story will be treated with gentleness and warmth by the world. She opened a new book, Little Pet. She didn't want to be popular around the world, and added it to her bookshelf. Nuan Nuan's Weibo, Rising Clouds, and Xiang Nuan QQ Space. This is the last time this book is saying good night, have a good dream, and be in a good mood tomorrow, Red Heart.